Here we are again. I'm going to find a way to start a show without saying well. Sometime soon. I'm going to figure that out. Well, I'm not Reagan. I don't need to be saying that. But here we are. Obey the puck. Bubble hockey. Milbury goes home. Some big trade happened. And other things and other stuff and things. I'm at Dan Law 83. Paul Baker is at Puckman RI. Kelly is at, well, I mean, she's off Twitter. So just follow Obey Puck Show on Twitter for, hockey news and other stuff. But let's start off right away as I clean my lens live. So let's start with something I saw off air right before we got together, Paul, without mentioning the personal part of it, just the discussion itself, is players opting out. And this one hits close to home because Tuukka Rask, since we did the last episode, Tuukka Rask has opted out from the Boston Bruins. I drew a brain fart there. And just like anything else in the world today, it's very divisive conversation, split right down the middle. I just want to put this out there. Me personally, if it was Claude Giroux, if it was Sean Couturier, if it was Carter Hart, if they want to opt out, you don't have anything to say about it. Sorry, they're paying their salary. No, stop it. No, not how that works. We all have different circumstances and different ways we are living and dealing during this pandemic. And we have no idea what the individual family situation is. And with Tuukka, it was one that he decided it is better off that I go home. Not that you're suffering. Some of us were hoping old-time Halak would show up, and apparently old-time Halak has not shown up, and good Halak is here, much to my goddamn chagrin, pain in the ass. Anyway, I found it interesting that during a time like this, you think we'd all be understanding. It was actually disconcerting, Paul, to see some people not agreeing with me.
Yeah, especially when the circumstances came out. Tuukka's situation is he's got 3 young children at home and a pregnant wife, who I don't know how pregnant she is, when the due date is, but apparently, and what we've heard, you don't know, and you don't want to get all the details because it's none of our damn business.
None of my business, exactly.
But there was a family emergency involving one of the kids. He felt like he needed to be with the family. Can't blame him. Can't ever blame him. But a lot of people did.
No, you don't get that luxury. That's this. I kind of, the way I thought about it was like that meme that goes around that this will hit home to you, Paul, being in your line of work, that meme that goes around saying, why do I have to pay so much for my diabetic medication, but somebody who needs Narcan doesn't have to pay? And the answer is somebody else's station in life. That's not how that works. You can't.
One has nothing to do with the other. Right?
No, not at all. Not at all. Kelly, your thoughts about opting out?
Yeah, I'm in line with you guys. If he wanted to go home, he wanted to go home. It sounds like he either discussed it with his teammates when it came up, or might have discussed it with everyone going into this. And they were supportive, publicly. Privately, we don't know, but I guess all accounts say he was supported privately too by the organization and by his teammates, which is great to hear. But yeah, I totally get that. Just being a person, not even being a parent with that whole set of responsibilities, but just being there for 2 weeks or so, and then your heart's not in it. Why stay there? Go home.
Go home. There's no need. There's no need to stay there if you're miserable in any situation. The money is not an object at that point. If you're not happy, you gotta get out. I would have opted out. Angel says I personally would have opted out too, regardless of what was going on inside the clubhouse. GZ, I agree, and thanks for stopping by. That's one of my Fortnite buddies. But it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter what we think. again, my situation, Kelly's situation, Paul's situation, Tuukka Rask, or any other athlete's situation, that's not how that works. And I'm happy for him. If he wanted to be with his family. Now, here's a question. Can you opt back in? You can't,
Yes,
right?
I think you can. I think you can. I'm not positive, but I have heard rumblings that, yeah, if they ended up going to the finals, he could come back. He would have to re-quarantine.
Right, yeah. He'd have to plan it out to where he'd sit for 2 weeks or something,
Right.
which
Now-
by
now
that
they-
time might be over.
They
Thank
did
you.
that. I know a couple players left because their wives were having children, so they knew this was happening. Of course, they didn't know exactly when, but they knew that they would be leaving during the time in the bubble and then would come back. I know Lars Eller did it for the Caps, and I think there was one other Cap who did it as well, and I'm sure other teams have that happening. So there's a system in place.
Yeah. So let's talk about somebody else that went home that opted out. Air quotes. This is kind of like a follow up to what we talked about on the last episode. One, Mike Milbury. For those who are Mike Milbury fans, turn it off now. You're not going to like this conversation. On a personal level, I don't care. Mike Milbury didn't say anything to offend me. I'm not the one that should take offense. He did say something that offended a lot of people. And I'm going to start my side of the conversation, go right to Kelly, because Kelly and I have been discussing it and watching the Hockey Guy video on this too. And then we'll go to Paul after, who hits close to home because he wielded a shoe in one of your uniforms. So I'll never not bring that up. I think that's funny in both ways. Somebody posted on Flyers Twitter, Mike Milbury went home. Do you agree with him going home because of what he said? And I went up to, this is before any other video came out or anybody else discussed it. My reply to him, he should have gone home because he is bad at his job. I don't want to hear, I get it. Me sitting here on my couch and my chairs at my house, not a professional hockey commentator, get it. I have no place. I'm a nobody. He's not good at his job. I'm sorry. He was better behind the desk. He was worse at color. He sounded like he didn't want to be there. He hated the game he was calling, and that's fine. I have friends on hockey Twitter that don't like today's hockey, and we talk about something else about hockey. Like we don't talk about the modern game. We talk about the past. Imagine that. We talk about something everybody likes. You don't have to like the game. Cool. If you don't want to be there, go home. That goes back to the players opting out. If you don't like it, go home. If you don't like it, leave. Yeah, fine, okay, leave. But what he said was that there's no women around to distract from the game, and I think it's like the third thing he said to let everybody know how he feels about women in general. I don't know. I understand his point. I'm going to say I understood his point. He made it poorly. And based on the other comment he made about the women's hockey in general, and being clueless about how many people watch that, quite frankly, Mr. Milbury, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. And the other things that he said along the way, it was just, okay, enough is enough, Mike. You obviously don't want to be here or care, so leave. He goes, I'm going to leave. I think it's best and quite frankly, I hope he stays home. He sucks. I understand that he's a professional and everything. I think he sucks. Kelly, we talked about this at length. Mike Milbury.
Yeah. I still don't. Can you explain the point he was trying to make with that statement?
I believe he meant that men cannot. What I think he was trying to say is there's nobody to fool around with, so they're focused on the game itself. It was a terrible point. I didn't say it was a good point. I said I understood the point he was making. I didn't say it was a good point. FYI.
So then, yeah, I mean, that's just like wrong on so many. Let's enter his dangerous area here, but let's enter his headspace.
What, old
So
and white?
because there were no women around, was he trying to say that what he was watching was fantastic and intense and much better than any other playoff hockey? Because not in my eyes and not in most people who've been
No.
watching eyes either. I mean, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong.
I
And
didn't
if
actually
that
think of that
wasn't
this
his
way.
point, then why say it?
Well, Kelly, because I think he hates women.
Well, who knows? I don't know. Is he married?
Yeah, I think he's
Probably.
married, but
He's
doesn't
probably
mean.
married. He's probably so excited to be away from his wife, who probably just is clearly the one in charge. Because any 6 or 8-year-old man who's going to say that in public clearly needs someone in charge of him so that he doesn't embarrass himself at the grocery store or something like that. Yeah, I mean, he's horrible at his job. For me, what was frustrating was listening to him do whatever the primetime game was each night, especially like early on when we had like 6 and 7 games a day. He was horrible. And then like the late night Western game was often they would have 1 or 2 female commentators who were better than Milbury. I'm not saying they were great, but they were better than Milbury, and it was so exciting to just hear a different voice and someone who was really engaged, who was paying attention to the game and was trying to add to it and answer questions and stuff like that. It was just really, really frustrating. Maybe Milbury late on the Western feed wouldn't have bothered me as much, but him in prime time was just endlessly frustrating for so many reasons. But that was my main one, kind of the point you made. He's just bad at it. He's not good at it, and clearly didn't want to be there. So why did we have to listen to him?
The Space Needle.
They were just showing a picture of it, and I was thinking, hey, there's a Space Needle.
I thought the same thing on the broadcast. I was like, hey, look, the Space Needle, the Mike Milbury Space Needle. Paul, you have a little more connection to Mike Milbury, being he was on your team, and I will throw this over to you by saying I've seen a lot of Bruins fans and a lot of Islanders fans that had to deal with Mike in 2 different capacities say, I mean, why is he there in the first place?
Are you guys saying you don't like your color commentator to talk like this and just be monotone and show no?
Let me just say that if you did the show like this, Paul, I would have fired you a long time ago.
Oh, I got to start writing down my thoughts because as Kelly was talking, I had a whole bunch of them. The way the conversation started, as I recall it, Brian Boucher was trying to set up how guys are coping in the bubble, what they're doing to keep them so occupied, and how they're making the best of it. And Milbury came in with, I think he was trying to be flip. I think he was trying to be funny.
Sure.
And he told a joke that would have killed in the 70s.
Sure.
But we're not in 1970 anymore.
Nobody tell Mike Milbury.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, that's when he was playing, so that's when the world stopped moving for him, apparently. And Dan, I think you hit it right on the head. It's not that this alone was such a horrible thing, but on top of previous gaffes and just the poor job performance, it was time to go.
I would have disagreed with mostly everybody firing on him about the women thing if he didn't make 3 other comments about women's hockey or women in general that he said in the last month. And I'm like, Mike, just say you don't like women's athletes. Just say it. Just say what you mean. It's not the 70s, but just say what you mean so we know where you're coming from. That's what pisses me off about the whole thing. It's the other stuff on top of it. Like, I don't care that he said that if you're going to hit somebody, make it hurt. And all the other stuff. There's a great video. I didn't like him at first because I'm a Philadelphia Flyers fan. I don't like anybody. We all know how we act. But Kelly started watching him a lot. The Hockey Guy. Great videos. You should check him out, Paul, if you haven't seen him.
The Hockey Guy?
The Hockey Guy. That's his name.
I watched The Hockey Girl.
I don't know.
Same idea. I have no idea. I've never watched The Hockey Girl.
It's the same basic idea, only he's a very laid-back Canadian man. His name is Shannon, and it's weird to take, like, even Dangle. I know Dangle draws the ire of old school hockey fans. I almost said wrestling fans. Same kind of fan base. Old school hockey fans, and And I try to hate him because I'm a Flyers guy. I try to hate all these people. And I'm like, I can't. I don't hate him. I don't hate him at all. And the same thing with he caught an elbow. It's the same thing with the hockey guy. He's very non-biased approach to everything, and I don't know how he does it because I can't. I'm kind of envious. But he laid out the whole military thing, and he basically came to the conclusion I did. Like, on top of this, he's bad at it. He's just bad.
Yeah, if Doc Emmerich would have said the same thing, not a big deal.
No. Well, he also would have wrapped it in a, appropriate.
Well, yeah, Doc has timing.
He also has a Philadelphia
They would have
Flyers.
killed if Doc said it.
Yeah, he also has a Philadelphia Firebirds jersey, and I've been looking for one of those forever. There's only 2 more jerseys I want in my collection. It's a Philadelphia Firebird jersey and a Jersey Knights jersey, and I can't. They don't exist anymore.
That's been my favorite part of the presentation is Emmerich's minor league jersey display.
Does
But
he
he's
hang
in there
a
like,
different
oh,
one?
I know what that is.
Has he been hanging a different one every game? Because I
Yes.
haven't noticed until today. Because he had
Yes.
an Albany River Rats.
Yes,
jersey.
every time he does
Yeah.
an intro, there's a different jersey behind him. And Kelly had to point out, hey, Firebirds, because I wasn't looking up, because I was like, yeah, whatever. Oh, I like Doc.
Yeah, I missed quite a few of them, so I'd like to go back and see what he had up there. He had that Ice Sheen Cincinnati Cyclones, which was so 90s. Oh my goodness, it's so shiny. Do you remember the Ice Sheens, Paul?
The Ice Sheens?
Ice Sheen jerseys. They were it was really bright colors, but the fabric was really shiny. I'm not talking about the logo, but like the fabric itself was. I'm trying to think of a AHL team that would have had them. I don't know if they did. They were prevalent in the ECHL in the early 90s.
Okay.
The Nashville Knights had the
Right now, Kelly is out nerding all of us because I don't
Yeah,
know what she's talking about.
We
Yeah,
didn't have ECHL up here back then because we had like 10 AHL teams.
Right,
That was before
yeah.
everybody moved out of the area.
I'll have to show you a couple because it doesn't get.
Oh wait, you've shown them on this show before. One was
Have I?
kind of like had a saber tooth pattern or something like that.
Yeah, I mean they're just super. They're super
Yeah.
shiny.
Shiny. That's what I want in my jersey. I want
Exactly.
But just to wrap up the Mike Milbury thing, he is a Boston Bruin. Is he a legend, Paul? Like,
no.
I feel like I should say something nice about him now that I've crapped on him, but I was like, what has he brought? All Bruins fans tell me is he brought nothing to the game in the first place. And then Islanders fans are like, well, he effed us over for a couple years. I don't
Couple
care.
years. Wow, that's generous.
20 years. Go ahead, Paul.
Well, like I said last week or 2 weeks ago, he had a decent career. He played for like 14 years, so that's not nothing.
Right.
And he was, he didn't have flashy stats. He was one of those solid, stay-at-home kind of defensemen, and he had a little bit of a physical edge to his game. Wasn't a big fighter, but I checked him out on hockeyfights.com, and over his career, he had like 50 fights or so. So he would drop him on occasion, not a ton, but
All right.
that was the kind of player he was. He was, he was a number 4 or 5 defenseman, and you need that on your team. But
So it's hard for me to say
I
anything
think
because it's hard for me to say anything because he has something against Philly, which who doesn't? So I hated him there to begin with since he was doing commentary. Then you add all the other stuff. I'm like, get out, go. So I'm happy. Just anybody, and they had Keith Jones doing it, unfortunately, for the Flyers Islanders game, which we're not going to talk about. And we've had Keith Jones. Kelly, you said he did a few years in Washington before he went to Philly.
Yeah, I'm not sure how long he was here. But I think he got his broadcasting start in DC.
But Keith Jones is the other. Let's compare the two. Same length hockey career, had a long career, nothing special, a solid enough defenseman where people wanted him to play, But then you wouldn't think watching him play that he could talk on the microphone. And then, and I said this to Kelly this when she said, well, he started in Washington. He starts doing the third or second mic in Flyers games, and I'm like, Keith, like it was one of those immediately. He's never been slow at it. He's picked it up immediately. Boom. Boucher had a little bit of it took him a couple games, but I remember my memory of it is I remember sitting there going, oh, Keith Jones is really good at this, to the point where he's on radio shows and he's national as well as the local Philly broadcast. So when they brought him on, I was like, well, why do they have him doing the desk and Mike doing the NBC doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense.
Because Milbury has never been a color guy. He's never done play-by-play. He's worked for Nesson for a long time, but he's always done the studio show.
How? But how? Somebody, what am I seeing? What am I not seeing?
He's got the long resume in hockey, man.
He's got
Wow.
pictures
The
of
hockey
somebody.
world is not inclusive.
He's got pictures of somebody. Good one, Kel. Probably.
Well, for a while there, like NHL broadcasting, it was all former Caps. Engblom, Clement, I know he was
True.
a Flyer too, but Clement,
Oh, he's a Cap, yeah.
Jones.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why the semi-crappy teams of the early 80s and then the kind of decent teams that they were producing hockey announcers left and right. I think honestly they just got a shot down here in DC, like, because we had the two-man team in the booth, but they would just let anyone come into the studio and give it a shot, and then they would kind of move on somewhere else.
You know, that's funny because in baseball, like there are, and I'm not exaggerating, there are 7, 8, or 9 baseball play-by-play guys who got their start in Pawtucket. So it's just one of those things, like maybe it's the spot where, for whatever reason, the system teaches them and coaches them up and they're ready to move on. I don't know.
Right, yeah.
As far as Keith Jones, and I don't mean to correct you like this on air, just reading his Wikipedia, so take that with a grain of salt, folks. Beginning 2005, 2006, Jones worked as an in-studio analyst alongside Bill Clement on the NHL on NBC, which was NHL on Versus for a while.
I remember that.
Yeah, and that's when he also started working for NBC, Comcast Sportsnet in Philly. And then right after that, he was on the morning show on WIP in Philly. So it was pretty much immediate. And he was drafted by the Caps, by the way. I believe, Kelly, that he is a skipjack. I believe that is true. I closed the window before I looked.
Probably.
The years match up. The years are matching
Hey,
up.
Baltimore, we have a hockey team.
And now we don't. It's
I'll
gone.
never forget those commercials.
Seriously, we do.
We didn't.
We've
Please
got-
come.
It's, well, okay, air quotes arena. We've got an arena too.
No, that was legit their commercials because I lived in Baltimore in the mid-'80s. And you would hear, hey, Baltimore, we have a hockey team. That was their marketing.
Yeah.
Kelly, I promise we have one. Please come.
Come
Please.
see us, please.
Please.
Please come. No. It's the Inner Harbor, but not what you're thinking.
It's not.
It's like
right.
2 blocks up.
It's 2 blocks away from the bad part that you're scared to go into, and the parking garage is on the good side. Come on.
And Camden Yards doesn't exist yet, so yeah, you're on your own.
That's
That's
right.
right. And the block was more than a block back then.
Yeah, it's like 2.
Uphill.
More bubble hockey discussion. Enough with the slamming the Mike Milbury. It'll never be mentioned here again. I didn't know you could trade while the playoffs were still going on, because apparently you can. The Penguins and the Leafs made a trade. I think this is correct. I don't know. I've seen 3 different reports in the last hour trying to make sure I got this right. So the Penguins got Kasperi Kapanen, Lindgren, and Aberg. No idea who that is. I apologize. Leafs are getting a 2020 round 1 pick, 15th overall. Evan Rodriguez, Philip Hollander, and you mentioned him, Paul.
David Warsofsky.
Well, yeah, we're so and I
That was the deal breaker. Warsofsky.
now when I that was the deal breaker for you.
Trade was not happening unless you included Warsofsky.
when
Sorry, Dave.
You better grab that bag of pucks on your way out the door, Dave.
Dave Cotney, I just want to let you know that Paul said that, not me. Making fun of Toronto.
Oh.
It's just a
No, I
joke.
was making fun of Dave Warsofsky.
Oh no, but I was saying you were making fun of Toronto, so I just wanted to, because I didn't say anything this time.
Dave's an Avs fan. He doesn't care.
Well, that's true. Yeah, but the Toronto guy. He's an Avs fan.
Yeah.
But What? He's not allowed on the show anymore. No.
I think he was a Nordiques fan back in the day, and he just
Well, you're allowed. Well, that's right. He always throws the Nordiques thing in my face, and then the Toronto Blue Jays thing, so I get confused. So, but I just meant the Toronto thing. It wasn't me saying anything bad about Toronto this time in general. It wasn't me. I thought on paper reading this that this was good for Pittsburgh, and apparently everybody in Pittsburgh says I'm crazy and it's terrible. Somebody help me.
Dan, I thought the same thing you did because the only names I recognized were Kapanen and Warsofsky. I'm like, well, that's not even.
The Kapanen I thought that was a good trade for Pittsburgh, but like I said, everybody in Pittsburgh, I say everybody, it's the internet. I don't mean everybody, obviously. But everything I saw was, this is terrible. I want another cup. Give me now. And I'm like, oh, 3's not enough for you. I understand. It's sad. I'm so sad for you. I thought it was a good trade for Pittsburgh. I just was surprised that they were still trading. I know they're both eliminated, but I was like, can you do that? I guess technically it's August.
Well, I guess the next season starts, like 3 days after this one ends. So
everything is,
who knows?
Everything's completely up in the air.
What
Kelly,
shocked me is they're doing trades in baseball. How can you trade somebody during a pandemic?
well, baseball doesn't give a damn.
There's no pandemic according to baseball. They're fine.
Nobody in baseball cares.
Yeah, I don't know.
And thank you for allowing it, because we might actually have closers in our bullpen now as far as the Phillies go. But that is another podcast for another time.
Randy Workman? No.
No, I don't. It was sarcasm.
Heath Hembry? No.
Paul, it was sarcasm.
Wrong sport.
But I'm not getting into it now. I have zero faith. Wrong podcast. Don't even get me started about the goddamn.
Stay tuned for Obey the Ball.
Yeah, Obey the Ball, which is that is the wrong website altogether, Paul.
That sounds like a whole different genre.
That is BDSM. So let's talk about the Sixers. No, let's not do that either. I'm just gonna keep getting angry. Let's talk about the Caps, so I don't feel as sad. The Caps are gone. Kelly, is this the
to the surprise of no one in DC.
The surprise of no one in DC.
Yeah.
I don't.
When that matchup came up, everyone was like, well, that was fun. Okay.
I mean, I was hoping you'd beat them so we wouldn't have to play the Islanders, but we'll talk about that probably in 2 weeks.
No, no one that I pay attention to or read through thought that I don't think anyone thought the series would go that quickly, but no one saw the Caps getting out of that series. They struggle mightily when a team pressures them a lot, and when a team plays a structured system against them, they just are really not good at that. And I mean, if anyone knows the Caps, it would be Trotz. They've been basically running like a Trotz light system since he left. Reardon was his assistant for however many years he was there, 6 years or something like that. I mean, so Trotz knows that team probably better than Reardon, which will explain the other news having to do with the Caps. But yeah, that was a master class in how to deal with the Caps.
Well, now he's dealing with us, so.
It's a tough system unless you are going to hit them and play with them. You're in big trouble. All of those guys, he doesn't have any of the egos he did in DC, where he had to like convince people to buy into a system.
Just don't understand how he could play so well in the round robin. It's game one, Dan. Calm down. Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how calm I am in a week. I'm gonna be moving out again.
I ain't moving out.
Oh, I might be moved. Let me rephrase that. I might be moved. So
potentially Holtby's last game as a Cap too.
That's what I was. That was the other thing I was going to bring out. Is now I saw some people saying that they thought Ovi wasn't re-signing. So if Ovi doesn't re-sign, do you keep Holtby? What do you do?
Oof.
Right.
I'd be hugely surprised if Ovi didn't re-sign. Maybe just for a year. Who knows? With everything going on, there are no guarantees.
That's true.
But I'd be hugely shocked by that. Pretty much since mid last year. Most Caps fans have been preparing themselves for Holtby's last game. After the Cup win, he was going into a contract season, and everyone, and then we saw the money that Bobrovsky's got, and looking at, just the reality of the money they were already spending, it's like that he doesn't fit here getting anywhere near Bobrovsky money, which is what he would have demanded on the open market at the time. Even with a down season, he's still going to get big time money, and to fit him in with the other contracts, probably not happening. And I think he was kind of the odd man out, especially after they re-signed Backstrom during the season.
Interesting. Well, speaking of Bobrovsky, boy, that worked out, huh?
It's almost like he's really, really good when there's a huge defensive structure in front of him.
Ooh.
Not so much at other times.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
That never happens with goalies.
No.
No. Tortorella got fined by the league because the league are a bunch of pansies. He got fined $25,000 because apparently he didn't like the way he conducted himself. It's amazing to me to keep watching the NHL and watch all the internal problems they have and fix zero of it. Have zero accountability for their officiating, for their bad, just all of the crummy decisions that they make blatantly, and not address any of them, and just so, you know what, coach, give us more money. I don't like Tortorella. I've been very vocal about Tortorella. I don't think he's ever going to win a cup with any team.
Well, he did.
He already did.
Well, I mean, ever again.
Okay.
Especially not Columbus Blue Jackets. And I don't like the way he treats his players, but that's just me being the liberal left snowflake that I am. But that being said, I don't understand. The same thing with Rod Brindamore. I don't understand why they fined him either, other than they're avoiding accountability for an obvious F-up, and they don't plan on fixing anything. And I've been told, we've been talking about this in the past, they can't fix the officiating. It's broken. It's like Comcast Internet. I've been told it'll never work 100% in our neighborhood, so why bother? So I don't know what the point is, but how you can find the guy that just wasn't in the mood to talk after he got his butt handed to him. I don't know. Every day it's like, why am I watching this? I know you don't really. Paul does.
Yeah, thou shalt not criticize the NHL.
Here's my issue, because I know some folks are going to listen to this and go, if you don't like it so much, why are you still watching?
Oh, I hate people who say that. I want to punch them.
It's the same people that in this country, if you don't like it, leave.
I want to punch them too.
No, I will punch them too.
I think Paul's just angry.
No, and I'll hold them while you punch them. My point is, it's okay to want things to be better.
Right.
Whether you agree with it or not is not my problem, and it's a debate and a discussion we can have. The NHL officiating is fucking garbage. And it should be fixed, not silenced and gone, you don't like it, watch something else. Well, A, I can't watch anything else. B, I don't want to watch anything else. I want you to do it better. Why don't you start fixing it? Even a little bit. Make a change. Oh, that guy really screwed that up on camera in high definition in front of millions of people. We should probably address that guy. Just a suggestion. What do I know? I don't have to answer for anything. Just annoyed me. That's like, come on. Why are you finding him? I don't want to talk. I want to leave. All right. See you later. He is human. And you get the whole argument that he didn't do his job. I was like, well, is it in his contract that he has to spend 10 minutes talking to people? Is that a rule?
Probably.
If it's a rule, I'll shut up. So stupid. So stupid sometimes. You get excited. You're watching games. You watch 6 days of games a day. You're like, yeah. It takes about 2 weeks. You're like, we're just back.
How awesome has 4 games a day been? Oh, my God.
Fantastic.
I picked the right week to get sick and be out of work, let me tell you.
I mean, maybe it's because of everything that's going on around us that it's like, here's an escape. There's a sport back.
Yeah.
They're doing it right. They seem to be doing it safely. we can enjoy this. And then 2 weeks later, I'm like, God damn it, will you fire that guy, please? Just please.
It's like a cat when you rub its belly. It's like, yes, enough. Ah.
Yeah, I'm going to stab you now with my very sharp claws. I guess we could address this passing of a hockey legend, pretty much. Dale Hawerchuk passed after a very lengthy battle with cancer. Philadelphia Flyer, Winnipeg Jet legend, 57 years old, I believe. Kind of caught you off guard because we heard he was sick, and then we heard he was doing fine, and then I heard, on the news that he had to leave whatever he was doing to go address this, and he'd passed. It was very quick, unfortunately. But there's a guy that, I mean, I remember him as a Flyer growing up, but he wasn't with the Flyers for long at all. He's really a Winnipeg Jets and Buffalo Sabres guy, but I remember Dale Hawerchuk. You know what I mean?
And during the 80s, when Wayne Gretzky was just putting up ridiculous video game numbers, Hawerchuk was the next level as far as scoring.
He was. Well, first of all, he was inducted into the Hall of Fame 2001. He's a 5-time NHL All-Star. That's legendary to me.
Scored 130 points one season. He scored 183 points in the juniors. Holy crap. 81 goals for the Cornwall Royals in 80-81.
Dale Hawerchuk was no slouch. Let's just say that. I did have a couple Flyers fans like, well, he wasn't anything. To you, he was nothing.
Yeah, Flyers got him at the end of his career for a season and a half.
Flyers he was good for what he did. In the Flyers, he did fine in the role he was in. But
Flyers got him to the Cup final, at least. In Winnipeg, he never could get past the Oilers or the Flames, so he had never been past the second round.
That was his last year, too. They got to the Cup final, and they got swept by the Red Wings, and Dale retired. It's like, I'm out. We broke Dale. I think Philly broke Dale Hawerchuk. But, he was, I guess, because the Jets moved. I know the Coyotes. What is their Hall of Fame? It's not called a Hall of Fame in Phoenix when you get your number retired. I don't know what it is, and I can't find it now. But he's on their board. I'm going to call it the board, Hall of Fame board. It's not what that is. I can't find it on the on Wikipedia. But he's a hockey legend. Oh, here it is. The Ring of Honor. The Phoenix Coyotes Ring of Honor retired his number on April 5th, 2007. Now, what I found interesting.
He never played in Phoenix.
I know. That's what I was about to say. What I found interesting is, unlike Hull and Steen, who had his honor, their honor was in Jets colors, his was in the Phoenix Coyotes jersey. That's odd. I wonder why that is.
Did he come back and work for the team after his career?
I do not know. That's a very good question. He inducted into the Sabres Hall of Fame in 2011. He's an honored member of the Manitoba Hockey Hall of Fame. Guy was just an amazing hockey player. I can't find it. He ever worked for the?
I don't see anything.
He worked for the Ontario Provincial Junior A Hockey League's Orangeville Crushers. What a name. That's awesome.
Orange Crushers.
The Orangeville Crushers. That's awesome.
Hey, I missed the Bruins goal. What the heck? Nice.
Well, I just looked up to see it, so thanks a lot. You jinxed me. I had to see that. Yeah, I don't see any thing working with the I think that was more of it was the Jets.
The franchise, yeah.
Yeah, it's the same franchise. We should honor the guy. He's earned it times 2. Do we have anything else this week? I think that's it. I think we're good. Well, I won't ask Kit where you can follow Kelly, but follow Obey the Puck at Obey Puck Show. Paul, where can people follow you?
I am at PuckmanRI.
Follow me at DanLaw83. Listen to the podcast online at vocnation.com. Watch the video re-airing youtube.com/DanLaw83. Please subscribe if you want to watch it live. If you're not watching it live and you're watching it on YouTube, go back to twitch.tv/DanLaw83 and hit follow. You don't have to pay. If you want to pay, hit subscribe. But if you just hit follow, it's free. Or if you're on your smartphone, go to your podcast app, type in VOC Nation Radio Network, and look for the Obey the Puck logo. For Kelly, for Paul, I am Dan. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.